All right, today we're going to explore something absolutely incredible. It's the invisible architecture that builds our entire lives, our knowledge, our sense of who we are. We're talking about memory. And to get started, let's jump right in with a puzzle that I think we've all experienced.
I mean, think about it. Isn't that wild? Some moments from years ago are burned into your brain with perfect clarity, but something as simple as lunch from a few days ago, poof, gone. This simple question actually gets us right to the heart of how our memory really works.
You know, a really good way to map this all out is to think of it like a computer. It's a simple three-step journey. First, you have encoding. That's just getting the information into the system. Then comes storage. You got to keep it there somehow. And finally, retrieval, which is, getting it back out again when you need it. So let's start at the beginning of that journey.
We're at the entryway. This is the very first point of contact. Before you can remember anything, the world has to get inside your head. So how does all the raw data, everything you're seeing, hearing, and feeling right now, turn into an actual thought?
Just think about it. Every single second, your senses are just getting flooded with information. Sensory memory is like this super brief holding area. It grabs an exact, perfect copy of what you just saw or heard, but only for a moment or two. It's kind of like the after image from a camera flash. It's there just long enough for your brain to go, okay, what's actually important here?
So once your brain picks something to focus on, that information gets promoted to your short-term memory. The best way to think about this is like a mental scratch pad or the RAM on your computer. It's the stuff you're actively thinking about right now. Like if you're trying to remember a phone number someone just told you, you're juggling it in your short-term memory. It's powerful, but man, it does not hold a lot.
Okay, so how do we make things stick around longer and not just disappear from that scratch pad? We rehearse it. But, and this is key, not all rehearsal is the same. On one hand, you've got maintenance rehearsal. That's just repeating the phone number over and over and over. It works, kinda, but the real magic is elaborative rehearsal. This is where you connect the new info to something you already know. Maybe you notice the last 4 digits of that phone number are your birth year. Boom, that deep connection is the secret password to long-term storage.
So, once we've done that deeper processing, the memory arrives at its new home, the great library of your mind. This is where information can be filed away for days, weeks, or even your entire life. But this library isn't just one big room. Oh no, it's got different sections for totally different kinds of knowledge. The library has 2 main wings. The first is for your explicit memories. This is all the stuff you can consciously talk about. Facts, events, stories. It's your knowing what. Then you have the other wing for implicit memories. This is your knowing how, all the skills you've learned, like riding a bike or typing. You don't have to consciously think about how to do it, you just do it. Let's zoom in on that explicit knowing what wing for a second. It's split into 2 sections. You've got episodic memory, which is basically your personal autobiography, all the episodes and events of your life. That first kiss we talked about, it lives right here. And next to it is semantic memory. This is your mental encyclopedia of facts about the world. Knowing that Paris is the capital of France, that's a semantic memory.
So with all this information, how does the brain keep it all organized? Well, it uses something called schemas. These are basically mental blueprints or filing systems that help you make sense of the world. For example, you have a schema for restaurant. You know you'll probably see a menu, talk to a server, get food. You don't have to figure it out from scratch every time. This filing system makes life way more efficient.
All right, so we've gotten information in and we filed it away in the great library. But a library is pretty useless if you can't find the book you're looking for, right? This brings us to the final stage, retrieval. And here's a little spoiler. It's not just about searching for a memory. A lot of the time, it's about rewriting it.
We pull information out in 2 main ways. First, there's recall. Think of this like an essay question on a test. You have to generate the answer completely from scratch. Then there's recognition, which is way easier. This is like a multiple choice test. The answer is right there in front of you, you just have to pick it out.
And what helps us recognize things? Retrieval cues. These are little hints or prompts that pull a memory out of storage. The smell of cinnamon might instantly remind you of your grandma's kitchen, or hearing a certain song can throw you right back to your senior prom. These cues are like the threads connecting today to a memory stored deep in that library.
Now get this. Here's a really fascinating type of cue. Your own body and mood. It's called state-dependent memory. It means if you study for an exam while you're all hopped up on coffee, you might actually remember the material better if you're also caffeinated when you take the test.
Your internal state gets bundled up with the memory itself. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, so all of this leads us to a really important question. We tend to think of our memory as this perfect video camera, just recording life exactly as it happens. But is that really what's going on?
The answer, according to basically all of modern neuroscience, is a hard no. And this might be the single biggest thing to understand about memory. It is not a playback device. When you remember something, you're not hitting play. You are actively reconstructing that memory from bits and pieces of information every single time. You are rebuilding it from the ground up.
And because you're rebuilding it, it's not always perfect. Errors can creep in. A super common one is source confusion. This is when you remember a piece of information perfectly, but you have no idea where you learned it. Did you read it in a textbook, or did your uncle mention it at a barbecue? The fact is there, but the source is gone.
Of course, we can't tell the story of memory without talking about its flip side, forgetting. It's the ghost in the machine. So in this last section, we're going to look at why we forget, and then we'll pop the hood and look at the actual brain hardware that makes this whole show run. You know, one of the most humbling things about forgetting is just how fast it happens. The biggest drop-off in what you can remember happens almost right away. It's wild. What you can recall after a week might just be a tiny piece of what you knew an hour after you first learned it.
So why? What's going on? Well, there are a few usual suspects. Sometimes it's interference. Other memories are just getting in the way. Sometimes it's just plain old absent-mindedness. You weren't really paying attention, so you never truly encoded it in the first place. And then there's motivated forgetting, where we sometimes, consciously or not, push away memories we don't want.
So what's physically changing in your brain when a memory forms? Scientists think the secret sauce is something called long-term potentiation, or LTP. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Every time you think a thought or recall a memory, a specific pathway of brain cells fires up. The more you use that pathway, the stronger and faster it gets. It's exactly like forging a path in the woods. The more you walk it, the clearer the trail becomes.
And memory isn't just in one place. It's a team effort all across the brain. You've got key players like the hippocampus, which is crucial for forming those new explicit memories. The amygdala links those memories to strong emotions. The cerebellum handles all your knowing how skills. And the prefrontal cortex is like the manager juggling everything in your working memory.
So, if you take just one thing away today, let it be this. That computer metaphor we started with, it's helpful, but it's not the whole story. Your memory is not a hard drive. It's not static. It is a living, breathing, constantly changing process. It is dynamic, creative, and yeah, sometimes it's beautifully flawed.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending thought to chew on. If our memories aren't perfect recordings, if they are reconstructions that we build and rebuild every time we access them, then who is actually the author of the story of your life?